Welcome, everyone, to this episode of The Latest Insights. My name is Elizabeth Finocchiaro, and I'm so grateful for these calls, this time together. I started in January, I think, so we're on the 9th Latest Insight call, and it's been so nice to also hear messages from people that I didn't even know were listening to the podcast, and so it's such a joy. That's my new thing lately. What a joy. That's what I've been saying. It's like, what a joy. So for those of you who are live, feel free to interact exactly as you'd like to interact. If things are landing for you, if there's questions towards the end, you're very welcome to do that. And for those listening on Spotify, feel free to share the episode with somebody or send me a message and let me know what landed, what was resonating for you. I love to connect. That's the whole purpose of these calls. So I'm just going to get my notes up. I have a couple things I want to share today, along with a very important story as well that I get reminded of every time at this time of year. Because when you post on Facebook a lot throughout the years, like I have, you get memories on Facebook. So every day I check my memories and then I see what I've been doing for the past 10 years. And as a teacher and as a brand for these many years as well, I can see my progress and things that I was going through and things that I was launching and things that so I can really see the journey. And this time, 7 years ago, something really important happened that I'm going to share in this episode as well. So let's just start by connecting to the breath a bit, relaxing into the body a little bit more. Conscious breathing, so your next inhale, be there. And at the same time, surrender to the breath. So we're in charge, but we're also surrendering at the same time. Relaxing on the exhale. Conscious breathing. I was just reminded today that if you are doing 200 conscious breaths, you're only conscious of 1% of the breaths that you take in the day. If we're breathing around 20 to 30,000 breaths a day and you're conscious of 200 of them, you're conscious of 1% of your breath. So just seeing throughout the day, can you be conscious of 200 of them or as many as possible? And really feeling the breath, not having this surface level relationship with the breath of like, what can it do? And I don't really care. But really listening to the breath, feeling it, sensing it, caring about it. So throughout this call and all calls in all of my places, you can really just be in whatever state you want to be in. If you want to close your eyes and meditate or lay down and just listen. And of course, if you're listening to this and you're doing other things, then, as podcasts are usually something you listen to when you're doing things. But this experience can also be something where you lay down and you listen to it, or you close your eyes, or maybe you're writing some notes. So just really feel like yourself. It's so important. And that you really take in the energy that's available for you through words, through connection, through taking a little bit of time to be more present. So, the latest insights. This month, I have a couple of points that I want to talk about the call, and then, as always, there's things coming up we don't know about. I was in a call yesterday with a peer group that I have, and I was like, we're talking about things that are coming up in business, and I said, I don't have, or I think or I said, I feel like I have control, but at the same time, I don't want to have full control, because that would be boring to have full control of everything. That's really not the point of intuition. Like, it's not the point of magic is to have full control. It's about understanding that there's more beyond what we can even think about perceiving. And I think that's a very important thing to remember. You can still be, and this is also something that kind of just came up in my awareness this morning. I was taking things a bit slower and listening to some things that would maybe inspire me. And this idea of, can we be disciplined? Can we be in control and surrender at the same time? There's so much in this practice world, and these are questions, curiosity. I'm not like saying that I know this exact universal law, but there's this idea that there's a give and a take, and there is in many ways. And then again, you have these different dimensions of, I think I talked about this in the last latest insights actually, where you have the physical and the non-physical. So you have the physical dimensions of like, here is something, here is not something, like here's something physical, here's nothing. And then you have this more mystical perspective of everything is one thing. And I think a lot of people in my world were on the path to unity. Like, that's something that I see a lot of people want, is unity. And I have this question when you enter my free Facebook group, like, what do you want from practicing breath work or relationship to your breath? And a lot are saying unity, healing, but the word unity comes up a lot. Oneness. So can we be in control, meaning we're awake and we're aware? We have a vision, we have a thing, we're kind of like focused, we know what we want, we're going for it. And at the same time, can we be surrendered and totally trusting the non-doing? And I think there's this dance that we, or at least I've seen in my life, where it's like I'm either in control or I'm either surrendering. It's like I'm choosing which one to be in, instead of maybe now playing with the idea of I am both of the things at all times. It's all within one thing. And we see that in the yin yang symbol. The black dot is in the white, and the white dot is in the black, and it's a one thing. So that was my really latest insight that literally just happened like an hour ago, that I was like, because energy can also be a control, and energy is non-physical. Energy is not something that you necessarily like do or can see. And something that's come up lately within this peer group I have, and we kind of bounce ideas off of each other and support each other, and also within the retreat that I just held, and just in general, I've been asked questions about this, like masculine, feminine, the doing. How do you get everything done? How do you also trust and let go and not get like obsessed with the doing? And this sentence came out of me that a lot of people, when they heard it, they were like, wow, that was something. And the sentence was, your commitment is also a structure. Your commitment is also a doing, in a sense, but it's an energy, right? Like when you commit to yourself, so you can have these broader senses of structure. Like your commitment is a structure. That was what I said. Your commitment is a structure. Because sometimes we think of structure and it's like a literal structure of like your calendar, or I'm talking like business perspective, like making sure you book this and do that and make sure you have time for that and this and this and this. Like it's very tangible things. And then people get kind of stuck in that. Stuck in like, but if I do it right, it should work. But then the energetics are a little bit out of place. So if you lean back, I love this energy of your commitment is the strongest structure. If you know that you're going to do it, if you know that you're committed, if you know that you're not going to give up, if you know that you are going to try to figure it out, if you know that you're going to get up the next time you fall, I would say that's a very reliable structure, but it's an energetic structure. So I just wanted to give that to you guys as well when we're talking about the doing and the being. I should go forward, I should go backwards, like the practice of leaning forwards, the practice of leaning backwards. What about this practice of like constantly kind of moving back and forth? Right? It will always be moving. It will always be moving. And this is why non-attachment is so important as well, of like your sense of self will change, your beliefs will change, your abilities will change, your skills will change, your perspective will change, your experience, your wisdom, like everything is constantly moving if you move with it. Maybe the stagnation is this idea of like, oh, now I have to lean back and now I'm going to be here now, not doing anything. And now I'm going to go forward. Now I'm going to do all the things. And now I'm going to go backwards. And it's a great practice because you're practicing the movements, going forward, doing the things, going backwards, relaxing, letting go, doing the things, letting go. And then once you can smoothen that out, suddenly you have a very nice movement. And tying that into the breath, the inhale and the exhale, the inhale and the exhale. And one of my biggest jobs as a breath worker is to smoothen out this circle, because the inhale can be like very hard for some people. The exhale can be very sticky and also difficult. And then the transition between the inhale and the exhale can be difficult, and the exhale to the inhale, and making that smooth. And then the breath becomes one breath. So you don't see it as the inhale and the exhale. It's actually one breath. By the time the inhale starts and the exhale is finished, that's one breath. So there's like this give and take that gets to be within one place, instead of now I'm going to give and now I'm going to stop, and making more stagnation between those two. Okay, that sounded nice, but like, how do we do that? What is that actually going to do for you in your life? Give it a try. See what happens. See if there becomes more ease in your mind. I got another reminder today that practices are best when they're done with curiosity and not urgency. So practicing something before it becomes urgent. So doing, for example, heart coherence or conscious connective breathing or just breath awareness or silent meditation or movement, exercise, like doing it out of curiosity and passion and interest instead of emergency. Like, oh, now I have to do this meditation because I am struggling in this area, which is obviously fine because it's a good resource. But if you want to grow as a curious being, especially if you're interested in breath work, for example, then I would try, what is it like to smoothen out the inhale and the exhale, and to see what that brings to you, because it'll bring us different things. All of us will bring us different things, depending on where you're at in your life. All right. So that was the start. That was not in the notes. I want to move over to something that has also been a big thing for me the last month. I had a retreat in the north of Norway, the Ease retreat. It was such a success in all aspects. The participants were just so incredible. The service was impeccable. The food was great. The teachings, the time, I mean, everything just went flawlessly. And it was so easy. It was so easy. So that was an amazing success in yeah, like I said, the client relationships, the experiences, the transformation, the memories, everything was just so, so great. And launching the retreat was, was started to be a little bit like I was a bit nervous, right? Like, okay, are people going to fly to the north of Norway to be with me? Like, that's a big thing to ask for. And are they going to see the value in this? Because I remember in 2000, I think it was 2017 or something, I launched a retreat in France and no one signed up. It was my first ever retreat and I was co-creating with someone I didn't know that well. I didn't know the host or the other breathworker I was co-creating with. And I was very young and I just had this like, who's going to come to France and breathe with me? And then I just didn't do retreats for many years because I was like, I just had this fear of like being rejected again, having this fear of it not working out. And so launching the retreat in Lofoten was a big kind of shift for me. And it required quite a bit of energetic work, as business and life does. It requires a lot of energetic work, not just the practical of marketing and communication, but also the energetics. So I was talking to the person who I was organizing it with, and we're a very good match, which is also an incredible, important piece of this whole puzzle. And we said we're going to infuse every piece of this retreat with ease. So the marketing, the communication, everything is going to be infused with ease. And obviously, I started to realize that, if you're selling a product, promoting a product, and it can be either like a belief of yours or an actual product in a brand, and it's about a certain thing, you should sell it in that energy, right? So I should sell Ease Retreat with ease because that's the vibe. It would be a little bit off if I was selling a retreat about ease and I was so stressed and I was so down on myself and I was freaking out and I had anxiety. And then I'm like, well, ease, retreat, come find the soft and gentle way of taking care of yourself. And I'm like, you suck. I didn't even do this and I can't even do that. Like then the match is just so, so off. And the sad thing is that when I was younger, because I started my business when I was 21. So there's a lot of growing up to do in the 20s with emotional intelligence and all of these things. And I knew the product was so good. And also having channeling abilities, it's like you can be a very good teacher and you can channel things, but do you actually go home and be kind to yourself? And I was really working on that when I was younger. And so things didn't always match. But luckily enough, it's a process that I have totally been able to let in to my life, and things are so much better, so much better. So we're launching the retreat and infusing everything with ease and everything like this. And then there's 2 spots left for the retreat. So it's a very intimate retreat. There's only 8 spots. And there's 2 more spaces and there's 2 more weeks. And for me, that's a lot of time. 2 weeks is things can happen in a moment. So 2 weeks is a lot of moments. It's like a lot of moments. And so I'm holding the energy. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to hold the energy of 2 people coming. And it wasn't from this, I need it. Like we are already full with our budget and everything. Like we're already good. Everything is fine. Like there's no need. There's no like stress. There's nothing. I was just like, I'm going to hold the space for these 2 people. And I'm going to hold it with joy. And I'm going to hold it with fun and conviction. I was like, they are coming. They're there. We just have to wait because they're on their way. We just have to open the door. Like I was just having so much fun with this. Where in the past I would have been stressing about this, for example. And so I'm holding the energy, 2 more people, 2 more people, 2 more people. We get closer. I think it was the day before we get 1 more person. And I'm like, okay, great. And then I'm like, okay, well, the other person's coming. And then you get closer and closer. And it's like the night before, morning of, it starts in the evening. And I'm still kind of holding the energy. And then the retreat starts. And that 1 spot was not full, was not filled. I'm obviously not obviously, because I think in the past I would have been disappointed. I would have been like, oh, it didn't work. Why, And I sat there with this peace in my body and I said, and I kind of came up with this idea for myself, or this process that I just went to. I said, I had nothing to lose to be in that energy for 2 weeks. Even though I didn't get that last person, I had nothing to lose to be in that conviction, to be in that vibe, to be in that fun, belief and confidence and joy, even though that spot didn't get filled. And then I was reflecting some years ago, I would have been hard on myself. I would have disappointed. But I believe in energy escrow, which means you don't always get the energy back from what you put in, but that will pour out to other places. And I was like, what a valuable experience I just had to be able to hold the energy so clean for 2 weeks, just knowing in my heart, knowing in my spirit, knowing just like, yes, of course, and really having that be a full experience, and then not getting it and still not dropping the energy. This was very new for me, you guys. And I've been hearing this for so many years, and now it's finally in the body. And it's not like it went from 0 to 100. This has been a gradual thing over the years. And it's come in different ways and different shapes and sizes, but now I feel like it's a very big, clear insight. You have nothing to lose by believing in yourself. And this is something that I hope you can feel and let sink in a deeper level. And it might take some different levels and different experiences, because usually when you hear something that's true, it will lead you to the next experience you need to have to deepen the truth. And then the next experience you need to have to deepen the truth. Like it comes in experiences, not in like a package with a bow on it. Like, here you go. Very rarely do you get an insight or a big breakthrough with like a package. It's usually many layers of experiences to deepen the truth. So you might see that you're going to start a journey now on some sort of experience to deepen it. So you have nothing to lose by believing in yourself. And this is something that I feel more of us need to have. I do want to say something, because I'm a very emotional person, so I always flip the stones of like, oh, but what if I believe in myself so much that I actually do lose something? Like, what if I lose friends? Or what if someone starts to judge me? Or what if I believe in myself, what if I lose my old identity? So don't worry, you guys, I'm always turning the stones. I don't let stones usually be unfolded, unflipped. So okay, if I say, you have nothing to lose by believing in yourself, but then you start believing in yourself and you lose a friend or you lose followers, for those who have a social media brand, because you start believing yourself. Some people are like, I don't like what you're doing, so I'm going to leave. Or your family starts to judge you, or you lose your partner because you realize believing in yourself is following a path that your partner is no longer on, and you need to leave the relationship. So I do want to bring in this reality of, okay, you might lose something by believing in yourself. That's a reality of it. And I think a big thing that comes up often in the spaces, and right now in the ripple effect, it's coming up, the rejection, disappointment, right? So in one way, I had something to lose by trusting that there was going to be 2 more people in the retreat, because when I didn't get those 2 people, I could have lost my trust with myself and be like, well, it didn't happen. I could have lost pride. I could have been, in the past, I would have been embarrassed. I would have lost my pride a bit. I would have, whatever. So there will be things to lose, but I love this quote from A Course in Miracles. If anyone has read that book or know about the work, one of the first sentences are, the truth cannot be threatened. Like why am I forgetting the sentence? But paraphrasing is, all that is true cannot be threatened. And I love this idea that things that are true for you cannot be lost. They cannot be threatened. They don't go anywhere. So it's like this idea that the illusions go away. And at the same time, in the human experience, getting good at rejection and disappointment is very, very important. Because if you get triggered by a rejection, you're gonna have to work with that a bit, because the human experience is full of rejection, it's full of disappointment. Like, you will get disappointed and you probably will disappoint other people. Like, it's just bound to happen. So it's an experience that I think is very important to reflect on. Like, how do I feel when I disappoint someone? How do I feel when I get disappointed? How do I feel when I get rejected? How do I feel like when I reject somebody? So I think the energy of rejection and disappointment are very, very important. And sometimes I can see with more masculine energy, rejection is a bigger thing. And with more feminine energy, disappointment is a bigger thing. But both within the masculine and the feminine energies, it's important to reflect on. So going back to, you'll have nothing to lose by believing in yourself. That needs to be rooted in a deep truth. And just knowing that if you lose something, just, it's gonna hurt. Like, that's why we call it courage. That's why we strengthen the heart. That's why not many people, not everyone is like following their heart to the end of the sunset, because there's going to be moments where it's painful. There's not all rainbows and butterflies, like people say. But you have nothing to lose by believing in yourself. I think it's a very beautiful lesson that you could try on if you want. All right. And this also kind of goes into the conviction energy. I just want to speak fast about it, or I just want to bring it in. Conviction energy is like, can you be a little bit more convicted in your life? And what is that like for you? What brings that up? What brings up for you? Because for me, it's quite triggering, because I'm a very soft, emotional, sensitive, quiet person, even though my job is like talking all the time. But in general, I'm quite a quiet person. Even recently, my boyfriend and one of my best friends was here having dinner, and she's known me for 10 years, maybe more, 15 years, 13 years. And she said, I've never seen you angry. And then my boyfriend was like, I've never seen her angry. Where is her anger? and it's just things like this of like conviction energy. For me, I would always think that goes into anger. If you're convicted, it's just like there's a like anger power energy that I've not been able to like tap fully into. I'm more of a curious type, not a convicted type. So a lot of my beliefs as well, like my commitment is my curiosity and my presence is my conviction. So I'm very present in my life and in my body and in my mind and in my breath and in my interests and in my family and people that I love and my work. Like, I'm very present and very curious, but I don't feel like I'm stuck in a certain way. For me, conviction also meant stuck. But I also feel that it's very important to lean into a bit of conviction when we want to believe in ourselves. To be like, it's going to happen. And if it doesn't, I'm going to be okay. Like, to kind of create structures that are like, this is inevitable for me. And take away the buts and the ums and the just and the probably and the maybes, like taking away this from your vocabulary. Even when you write to people or just reread your sentences, reread your emails, reread your messages and be like, I think probably I'm going to have lunch at 12. It's like, just have, like, are you going to just have lunch at 12? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's sentences where we're putting in so much insecurity into our language to not offend people or to create a little bit more space. And that's a really good place to start if you want to get more conviction in your life. Like, just start to take out these words, these filler words, and just be a little bit more convicted in your communication and see how that can also influence your life and your beliefs as well. I think it's a beautiful energy. I'm currently playing with it a little bit more, like I said, because I haven't really had that type of personality for my whole life, basically. What is it in Norwegian? I think so. I think that's That's the word in Norwegian, overbevist. Conviction is like, you know, it's going to happen. Like, you know, without a shadow of a doubt. I'm convicted. I'm pretty sure in court, if you are caught guilty, you are convicted. So it's like it's something that happens, like you are convicted. So it's an important energy. And I have this teaching from many, many years ago saying that I think the most powerful human is a human that has no doubt. And you see it on both sides. On the harm side, like if you have no doubt in yourself, you're not questioning yourself, you can hurt. Um, if you're on the side of, not, how do I say this? I feel like I'm not saying this right. But anyway, a human without doubt is very powerful. And you can use your power for good and bad always, right? Or like for harm or for good, or you guys get what I mean. So less doubt, not letting the doubts take that much space, not letting it take that much time, not identifying too long with it, allowing things to continue to move and being convicted in something that serves you, that serves the planet, that serves others. That's what we really want, this win-win-win situation where it's not just about you, like convicted for something for yourself, but also for others. Like, what do you want to be convicted about? What type of energy do you want to be so certain about for others? For the people around you, for the world, and then for you as well, because you got to be in there as well. All right. Da, da, da. So I'm going to go into a story soon. I'm just going to take a little moment because I've just talked nonstop and take some water. If you want to write something in the chat for those who are live and for those listening, we'll just take like a little moment for those listening on Spotify. Yeah, so just let things settle in a little bit, sink in. Great. So tonight at 8 p.m., there's going to be a event called Inhale, which is the part one of a new series that I'm going to be dropping within the next months, years probably. And it's going to be all about the inhale, the energetics of the inhale. And I'm really excited about this experience. I'm offering it for free this time because we crossed 500 members in my free Facebook group, which is always something to celebrate. What a joy. So we're going to do that, and I'm really excited about that. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, it's going to be possible. We'll link all the information in the show notes to join the replay or the live if this gets up before that. So I'm going to be talking tonight about the energetics of the breath. And I think this is so important. Like I talk about all the time, the non-physical, the energy behind things. So not just what you say, not what you do, but what is the energy behind it. This is where the magic is. And I see it so many times and I hear so many stories of like nothing changes. Like you don't do anything different, but something inside changes and everything changes. So it's really remembering about cleaning up the energetics in your life. This is what we're going to go into tonight with the inhale. And then at some point, the exhale is going to come out, the part two, and then there's going to be more parts and more parts and more parts. All right, we're going to go into storytelling time now. A new segment of storytelling. I'm just going to get the story up here. So 7 years ago, I was coming home from LA, I was doing a course there. At this time, 7 years ago, I was doing a lot of seminars, so public speaking, business training, relationship training, course creation, warrior training. I was doing a lot of different trainings all around the world, and some were in California, and some, yeah, were in different places. This one, the last, I think it was maybe the last one I did. It was the course creation one. So we talked about how to teach and how to put together courses and time frames and believing in yourself. I think it was called the life perp. No, what was it called? No, actually I forget what it was called. Something about like purpose and direction. But that was my class. Okay, I forget what the seminar was called. But I'm on my way back from LA to Oslo, and I lived in Bergen at the time. But I was excited about getting bigger in Oslo, and I rented a studio. So I must have done this while I was in the US. And I launched something called Purpose and Direction. So for years, I had a course called Clarity and Compassion. And that was all about the kind of like the inner stuff. And then Purpose and Direction was more the outer stuff. Like, okay, what do you want to do? And what's your direction? What's your focus? Let's do this. What's your purpose? And so I'm super excited, and I'm posting it on Facebook. I made a Facebook event. My friends are sharing it. And at this time, 7 years ago, it wasn't normal to sign up before the event. It was very normal to drop in. So it was normal to have like a little line outside the door. It wasn't normal that people, like today, I feel like it's very normal to sign up for something before you join something. But 7 years ago, it wasn't like that. People could just show up. So I didn't have any signups, but I was expecting a line out the door. I was like, I'm gonna get to Oslo and it's gonna be this huge line out the door. And I am in Oslo, and it's the morning before. It started at 10 a.m., 10 to 2 it was gonna be. And it must have been like 8 o'clock, and I'm in Espresso House in Oslo, and I'm having a coffee, and I make a post, and I said, I'm so excited. I have this amazing workshop coming up today. I'm jet lagged, but I'm excited. Right? It said something like that. And I think I have it here. I said, feeling on purpose and jet lag. First purpose course starting this morning. Hashtag Oslo with the coffee. 2017. And I'm on fire. I just came from LA. I just came from this seminar. I'm just like, oh my God, my ego was quite big at this time. I was like, I am excited. But I was also super passionate. So I get to the location, and I'm preparing the room, everything nice, the markers, the papers, everything for the course, the flowers, the snacks, all the stuff. And 10 o'clock is getting closer, and I'm like, ooh, exciting. And 10 o'clock comes, and nobody is there. And I'm thinking, okay, I'll wait a little bit longer. 10:03, 10:05. So around 10:05, I go out to the hallway, and the man who owns that place or rents that place, he was at his office, which was in the hallway. And I remember going to him, kind of moseying around, and he's like, is nobody showing up? And I said, no, but they'll come. They're gonna come. I didn't want to admit it. And he was like, you can leave and you don't have to pay for the room if you don't want to pay for the room. And I kind of felt immediately offended because I was like, do you know what I'm doing here? Like, I had this fire in me. And I said, give me a moment, let me think about it, and trying to figure out what I'm going to do in this situation, because he's offering me to not have to pay. I don't have anyone here. A smart business move would be to say yes to his offer. And I go back into the room, and I'm just feeling like, okay, what am I going to say to this guy? Maybe I didn't go back into the room, but I took a moment and I told him, I'm going to keep the room. And he was like, what? Nobody is here. No one's ever done that before. No one's ever kept a room for an empty course. And I said, yeah, but I'm a bit weird. I'm going to keep the room. I'm going to pay for it. Don't worry. So I go back into the room, and I just go to the corner. I'll never forget this. And I leaned up against the wall and cried. in the corner. I felt embarrassed. I felt silly. I felt worthless. I felt stupid. So many emotions. I felt so sad. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like nothing I did worked. I felt like my work didn't matter. I was embarrassed, all of these things. And then I look around and it's a beautiful room and the papers are out and the pens are out. And I was looking around and I kind of mustered up a bit of strength. I don't know what happened, but something happened in that moment where I was like, I have this room for 4 hours. What if I went through the course myself? What if I took myself through the material? So I started to go to the paper and I started to write all the different things and then suddenly I'm like inspired, but I still have tears going down my face. I look like a mess, like tear crying, writing, trying to like start to feel this. I felt like a mad scientist that was like, okay, we're gonna do this, like papers everywhere, and like, okay. And then I hear a knock on the door. And she there's a little head coming through the door. And she says, "Is this purpose and direction?" I'm just gonna get up like the exact yeah, "I'm sorry I'm late. Is this purpose and direction?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah, it is." And I said, "But you're the only one." And I'm crying. I'm like, "Yeah, it's purpose and direction. This is, yeah, but you're the only one. Do you want to join?" And I'm like crying, tried to wipe my tears. And she was like, "Will you take me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll take you. We'll do this. Do you want to go through the course?" And she was like, "Lucky me. I would love to do this with you." And I gave her my all. And we went through all the material together. 4 hours, me and her, going through every single step. And I did it as if 100 people were there. I did the music, the pause, I did the breaks, I did the sharing. So I was her partner with the partner shares. I did everything to the book that I prepared for. And this is not the best part of the story. This is one of the best parts of the story because I got this idea: when nobody shows up, I show up. So that was something that changed my career in 2017. When nobody shows up, I show up. It's like a non-negotiable for me in my career, and it had been for 7 years now. And that's what happened when no one showed up. I said, I'm going to show up. I'm going to pay for the room. I'm going to go through the work. I'm my biggest student. I'm a student of the universe and in my own work. So I'm going to be here and do it. And then she came and we went through the work. The next best thing happened was years later, I get a message in 2021, right? So this is 4 years later. And not only at that time was she also a client. So she signed up for Breathe Live in 2020 or something, and she was a client inside Breathe Live for 2 years. And not only are we still very good friends and peers, and she has so much respect for me and so much love, and she's put in, my name in important rooms, and she tags me, and she's, always supporting my work. But I get a message from her, and it says, "Tomorrow at 8 p.m., it's my turn. I'm launching my first webinar. Very few signed up, but I will give my best as you did for me. You're my inspiration." And that was in 2021. And I don't know if I can ever write or share this story to the impact that it's really made on me and other people and my career, and also just the energy in the students when I share this story to the students that I train, to people that I talk about with business and branding and believing in yourself. This story 7 years ago that happened today, 7 years ago, was just one of the most important things that has ever happened to me. And I later I've had courses where no one showed up. That was not the last one that happened, and I still did my course. 3-hour workshop, no one showed up. Well, you know what I'm doing for the next 3 hours? I'm going through my own material. I'm making it better. I'm refining it. I'm listening. I'm seeing what can be better. I'm reflecting myself. I'm breathing. I'm doing the notes. I'm taking care of, what can be better for next time, coming up with new ideas. So many people quit a bit too early, or they forget that they're the student of their own work, and they forget the power of one person. Now, of course, from a business perspective, right now, I don't think I would fly to the US for one person for a $40 workshop, or go to Oslo for one person for a $40 workshop. Things changed over the years of also building the business and things like this. But also, there has been times, even recently, where from a business perspective, I think this is something you have to be clean with your energy of realizing, am I going to get something out of this? And it might not be always monetary, but is there a purpose here? Is there a service here? Is there a devotion here that is more important in this moment? And sometimes yes, and sometimes no. Other opportunities, it's like, okay, this is going to drain me. I'm not feeling it. And also from a business perspective, it's not abundant, or it's not a prosperous opportunity. But in the beginning, I did not think about this at all. In the beginning, I was serving every single person who came through my door. And if no one came through, then it was me that needed to be served. So I think this is very important, and I just wanted to share the story since we're in the season of it happening, and I always get the response or the reminder every year. And I always love an opportunity to be able to speak the story and tell the story. And thank you for listening to it. I hope it can inspire or maybe move or support you in a certain way that you needed today. Yeah, so the ending there is like, if no one shows up to your ideas and visions, especially in the beginning, I really hope that you do. Because if you don't show up 100% for your own visions and your dreams and your ideas and your passions and things that you believe in, then you're waiting for someone else to do it. So then you're actually doing it for the validation of it. You're not doing it for the actual passion for it, the liveliness of it, the unattachment of it. And that's where the energetics become very clean, when your attachment to what happens is very clean. Because I know, and this is a prime example, I served one person, I think the course was $40 for 4 hours. And I paid probably $200 for the room. So I'm in minus financially. But she becomes a client for 2 years at $77 a month. Do the math. I made up for that room. If we're gonna look at the numbers like this. And she's done other things that have been supportive to my career and things like this. But I didn't know that was gonna happen. I wasn't thinking like, I'm gonna serve this one person because they might join this and I might get something from them. But it's just showing that, the cleaner you are in the energy of like, I'm going to give my all here because I know, and like the conviction of, I know it's going to come back one way or another. It's going to come back because I'm open to receive in many different ways. And I'm always open to receive. And I'm almost always open to give as well. When I say almost, it's more like when I'm maybe at capacity, and we don't want that to happen that much in our life. Actually, when you're at full capacity, you need to kind of like shut down and not give. It's really nice to be in a space where it feels good to give. And that's where I want to be. I don't know about you, but there's a lot about like nervous system regulation and emotional intelligence, where there's the spectrum of people being quite burnt out and being like, I'm at capacity. I can't talk about this thing right now, or I can't handle this. I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't help you with this. I can't do that. And I want to be a person that can do it. Like, I want to be a person that does have space. I want to have a spacious life. I want to be able to give freely, openly, generously, and not be like, I need to get something back for it. Or you didn't do that, so I'm not going to do that. And it's like this conditional moving of energy. And that's the non-physical thing. So everything ties in together, especially with visions and work. Like this podcast, for example, there's 3 of us on this live call, so there's 4 of us, small intimate group. And I'm here and I'm not pretending like I'm talking to thousands of people, but I know there's people listening to this podcast that I have no idea that are listening to this podcast. And then sometimes I get a message from someone saying like, "Oh, I'm listening to your podcast. I love your episodes." I'm like, "I didn't even know you knew who I was." Or who are you? Like, you're a new person. Hello. It's so cool. Or somebody told me that recently that they were meditating like something else on Spotify, like another meditation, and then my Spotify was up next. Like somehow it just came up next, and then suddenly they were listening to my podcast. And I'm like, that happens? I didn't even know that happens. Like that it comes next somehow in a shuffle or some sort of saved episodes. Or so it's like, it's living life knowing that there's so much happening that you can never control. You're not going to know. You can't see it, but you got to feel it. Be convicted that, of course, this is going to get to the people who it's supposed to get to. I love doing this. I love to give. I love this so much. And I also love to receive, but I'm not going to limit where I receive from. I was at an event recently where no one seemed to show up. The organizer apologized. I said, we have to work with what is. As soon as I did, another person showed up and we had an amazing session. Yeah. Yeah, it can be awkward for the organizers as well. Like, sorry, like this is awkward. Like that's kind of how I was with her too. I was like crying. I mean, I was a mess, but I pulled myself together and it was beautiful. And like you said, another person showed up and you had an amazing session. And these are sessions that you might not, you're going to remember for a long time. So whenever I'm launching something, putting something out into the world that I really want to give, like I really want to give to the world, and I know there's a couple people interested, so if someone says like I want to join that, and then I always say to myself, if 2 people are physically reaching out and telling me they're interested, that means another 3 or 4 are interested, but they're not physical. Like I don't know about them, I don't see them, hear them, or talk to them. Because that tends to be how energy is. You're only going to see and experience a small fraction of what is actually happening. And this is going to help you so much with your beliefs and your visions in life as well, because you might think no one's watching, but I promise you people are watching. And let's circle back to the first sentence I said in this call. I love how everything is connecting and weaving together. I said you have nothing to lose by believing in yourself. Another part of this that came up in the peer group that I have was you're almost disrespecting the people who resonate with you by not believing in yourself. So if I stopped believing in breath work, if I stopped believing in my work, I am disrespecting, in a sense, you that spend time listening to my work, that spend time investing in my work, wanting to be a part of my community, wanting to hear what I have to say, or wanting to get my guidance in your life and walk with you and be with you. And if I disrespect that, I'm actually disrespecting you. If I don't believe in myself, it's a disservice to the people that believe in me. It's almost like love. It's like if you don't let yourself be loved, you're actually hurting people that love you. It's like there's so many people that want to love you. I remember when I was younger too and doing this emotional intelligence stuff, healing the heart type of work, and I couldn't let love in intimate relationships, but people loved me. And that must have hurt so bad that they like want to love me. They want me to let their love in, and I wouldn't let it in. Like that's really sad for them as well. So not being worthy of love is also, not letting someone else love you. And not believing in your art, not believing in your ideas is actually doing a disservice to the people that love your art, that love your ideas. So there's a bigger picture as well of like, it's not just about me, it's about you guys too. It's about what we're doing together, the work that we're doing together. It's important. It's really important what we're doing. So I'm going to believe in it. I'm going to hold it. And yeah, there's going to be some days where it's going to maybe wobble a little bit. The doubts will come and go as everything else does. But when I have this idea that there's actually people who care about the work that I do, and I care about the work that you do as well, you know, if you have a service that or an idea or an art, or like if there's something about you that I care about, it would hurt me if you stop believing in yourself. So we can use strength from each other. Okay, this was a great latest insights call. I really hope that things have landed for you. I feel like there's a couple things that maybe just, like I said, takes time with a deepening of. As always, it's just such a pleasure to do these calls. Like I said, I love them. I'm passionate about them. Whoever shows up, gets everything. And then they get on Spotify for whoever listens to them at that point. So we can give with less conditions, and then we can receive with less conditions. That's kind of the vibe. So again, thank you so much for being live. For those who are live, feel free to also write a review on Spotify if you'd like to do that, or like a rating, and share with anyone that you think that would support this. Check out the show notes for links. There's links to my membership, which right now there's a 30-day free trial inside up until Friday. And there will be other links to just join and stay connected with all the things that I'm doing, the free Facebook group, the membership, all the things. And to join the live sessions if you want to be on a live session for the latest insights. Every month, the third Tuesday of the month at 12 p.m. Central European time. All right, have a beautiful day. I'll see some of you for the inhale session tonight, maybe. And thank you for co-creating and having your presence here. It really does change the dynamic. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.